Listen up, because we need to have a serious chat about something that makes pretty much everyone in the room start sweating profusely and looking for the nearest exit. I am talking about vulnerability. Yeah, I saw you flinch. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to hold hands and sing Kumbaya or tell me about your deepest childhood trauma right out of the gate, but we are going to dive into a book that basically revolutionized how we think about feelings, courage, and why we are all so terrified of letting people see who we actually are. The book is called Daring Greatly, and it is by the absolute queen of shame research, Brené Brown. Now, usually, when people hear the word vulnerability, they think of weakness. They think of a soft underbelly, like a turtle rolled over on its shell, flailing its little legs, waiting for a predator to come along. We have been conditioned, especially in this modern world of Instagram filters and LinkedIn humble brags, to believe that we need to be bulletproof. We think we need to wake up at 4 a.m., drink a green smoothie that tastes like lawn clippings, crush a workout, dominate the boardroom, and never ever let anyone see us sweat. We put on this armor every single morning before we walk out the door. We grab our shields of perfectionism, we strap on our helmets of cynicism, and we march into battle. But Brené Brown has a different take. She spent decades studying data, interviewing thousands of people, and basically mapping the human heart, and she found out that we have got it all backwards. She argues that vulnerability isn't weakness. In fact, it is the most accurate measurement of courage we have. And living without it? That is just a one-way ticket to a life of loneliness, exhaustion, and never feeling like you are actually enough. So buckle up. We're going to strip off that heavy armor, piece by piece, and look at what it actually means to dare greatly. And trust me, by the end of this, you might just be ready to walk into the arena of your life completely exposed, and you will realize that is exactly where the magic happens. Let's kick things off with the first massive lesson, which is simply redefining what vulnerability is. Most of us treat vulnerability like it's a contagious rash. If we see someone else being vulnerable, like crying in public or admitting they screwed up, we cringe, we get secondhand embarrassment. And if we feel it ourselves, oh boy, we shove that down faster than a kid hiding a bad report card. We think vulnerability is for people who can't handle the heat. But here's the truth. Vulnerability is basically just uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. That is the definition. Now, think about any time you have ever done something brave. Maybe you started a business. Maybe you asked someone out on a date who was definitely out of your league. Maybe you had to give a presentation to a room full of people who looked like they wanted to eat you alive. Was there uncertainty? Yes. Was there risk? Absolutely. Were you emotionally exposed? You bet. You cannot be courageous without being vulnerable. It is physically impossible. It's like trying to make an omelet without breaking eggs. You can't have the result without the messy part. Think about dating. We all say we want love, right? We want that movie-style connection. But to get that, you have to be willing to be the first one to say, I love you. You have to be willing to get your heart broken. You have to sit across from someone and let them see the real you, not the representative you sent on the first 3 dates who pretends to love hiking and French cinema. Being vulnerable is walking into that restaurant knowing you could get rejected, knowing you could get hurt, and doing it anyway because the possibility of connection is worth it. If you wear armor to a date, if you sit there acting cool, detached, and perfect, you're safe, sure, but you're also going to go home alone and lonely. Vulnerability is the price of admission for a meaningful life. Now, let's move on to the second big lesson, and this one is going to hit you right in the gut. It's about the culture of scarcity. Brown talks about this concept of never enough. We wake up in the morning and the first thought is usually, I didn't get enough sleep. The second thought is, I don't have enough time. We spend our days feeling like we aren't rich enough, thin enough, smart enough, successful enough. It's this constant low-level panic that we're lacking something fundamental. It's like we're all at an all-you-can-eat buffet, but we're acting like it's the last meal on earth. We're shoveling food onto our plates, elbowing grandmas out of the way, hoarding the shrimp cocktail, terrified that the supply is going to run out. But the reality is, the kitchen is full. This mindset of scarcity makes us jealous, greedy, and hyper-competitive in a way that is just exhausting. Social media is the absolute worst for this. You scroll through your feed and you see your high school friend on a yacht in Greece, your cousin just bought a house that looks like a castle, and some random influencer is teaching you how to make passive income while they sleep. Suddenly, your life, which 5 minutes ago felt pretty decent, feels like a dumpster fire. You look at your apartment and it looks small. You look at your bank account and it looks sad. You look at your lunch and it looks like peasant food. That's the scarcity myth. It tells us that for someone else to win, we have to lose. It keeps us small and afraid. The antidote to this isn't getting more stuff. It isn't finally buying that yacht or getting the six-pack abs. The antidote is what Brown calls wholeheartedness. It's believing that you are enough, right now, as is. It's stepping out of the rat race and realizing that you don't have to be a hamster on a wheel to be worthy of love and belonging. You are worthy just because you exist. I know, it sounds like something a hippie would say while strumming a ukulele, but it's scientifically backed. The people who are the happiest and most connected are the ones who believe they are worthy of connection, not the ones who have the most trophies on their shelf. All right, let's get into the dark stuff. Lesson 3 is about the difference between guilt and shame. These two get used interchangeably, but they're totally different animals. Guilt is helpful. Shame is destructive. Guilt is, I did something bad. Shame is, I am bad. See the difference? Let's say you forgot your best friend's birthday. We've all been there. You get that sinking feeling when you realize the date. If you feel guilt, you think, wow, I really messed up. I was inconsiderate. I should call them, apologize profusely, maybe send a gift basket with some really expensive cheese to make up for it. Guilt focuses on the behavior. It motivates you to fix the problem and do better next time. It's uncomfortable, but it's productive. Shame, on the other hand, takes that same mistake and spirals it into an identity crisis. Shame says, I forgot the birthday because I'm a terrible friend. I am a selfish person. I'm unlovable. Why does anyone even hang out with me? I'm a disaster. Shame doesn't make you want to fix it. It makes you want to hide. It makes you avoid your friend's calls because you can't face the feeling of being a loser. It makes you defensive. If your friend confronts you, shame makes you say, well, you forgot my birthday 3 years ago, so we're even. Shame is like a gremlin that lives in your head, feeding on secrecy and silence. It grows when you don't talk about it. The only way to kill the shame gremlin is to drag it out into the light. If you call your friend and say, hey, I feel so much shame because I forgot your birthday and I feel like a terrible friend, the shame loses its power. Empathy kills shame. But you can't get empathy if you don't share what you're going through. Now, before we get to the heavy armor we all wear, I want to take a quick second to ask you guys a favor. If you're enjoying this, if you're nodding your head thinking, yeah, I definitely have a shame gremlin, then please hit that like button. It helps more people find this content so we can all stop pretending to be perfect robots. And while you're down there, subscribe to the channel. I want to build a little community here where we can keep it real. And I have a question for you. What is one thing you're weirdly perfectionistic about? For me, it's the way the dishwasher is loaded. If someone puts a bowl in the wrong spot, I take it personally. Let me know your weird quirk in the comments. Okay, back to the battle. Lesson 4 is about the vulnerability armory. When we're afraid of getting hurt or feeling shame, we put on armor. Brown identifies a few main types of shields we use, and I guarantee you use at least one of these. First up, we have foreboding joy. This is a weird one, but you'll recognize it immediately. It's when things are going really well, and suddenly you get terrified. You're watching your kids sleep, and you're overwhelmed with love, and then your brain goes, what if something terrible happens to them? You get a promotion at work, and you think, they're going to find out I'm a fraud. We do this because joy is the most vulnerable emotion. When we're happy, we're exposed. We have something to lose. So to protect ourselves from the potential pain of losing that happiness, we dress rehearse tragedy. We try to beat vulnerability to the punch by imagining the worst-case scenario. It's like eating a delicious slice of pizza, but telling yourself the whole time that it's probably going to give you heartburn. You ruin the pizza, and if you get heartburn, it still hurts. You gained nothing. The fix? Gratitude. When you feel that panic during a happy moment, just stop and say, I am grateful for this right now. The next piece of armor is perfectionism. We think perfectionism is about striving for excellence, but it's not.
Perfectionism is a defensive move. It's the belief that if I look perfect, act perfect, and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, but really it just weighs us down. Perfectionism is basically lying. It's curating your life so no one sees the cracks. It's spending 3 hours editing a photo to make it look like you woke up that way. It's refusing to launch a project because it isn't flawless yet. It keeps us from being seen. It's like refusing to dance at a wedding because you haven't mastered the tango. Just get out there and do the funky chicken. No one cares. They're all worried about their own dance moves.
Then we have numbing. This is a big one in our society. When the vulnerability gets too high, when the shame or the fear kicks in, we want to take the edge off. We numb with food, with alcohol, with shopping, with endless scrolling on TikTok, with being overly busy. We try to anesthetize the pain. The problem is, you cannot selectively numb emotion. You can't say, I want to numb the fear and the sadness, but I want to keep the joy and the excitement. When you numb the dark, you numb the light. You turn your life into a flat line. You might not feel the sharp sting of rejection, but you also won't feel the soaring highs of connection. You become a zombie. Brown says we need to feel our feelings, even the crappy ones, because that is the only way to actually be alive. You have to sit in the discomfort, not drown it in a bottle of wine or a 12-hour Netflix binge. Lesson 5 focuses on the concept of the arena. This is based on a famous quote by Teddy Roosevelt. He basically said that it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. This is the core of daring greatly. It is about showing up and letting yourself be seen, even when there are no guarantees. It's easy to sit in the cheap seats and criticize. It's easy to leave a nasty comment on a YouTube video. It's easy to judge someone else's parenting or their business or their art. That is safe. You're not on the line. But if you want a life that matters, you have to get your butt into the arena. And here's the reality check. If you go into the arena, you will get your ass kicked. It is not a maybe, it is a guarantee. You will fail. You will make mistakes. You will get heartbroken. You will look stupid. But that is the price of bravery. Brown says that if you are not in the arena also getting your butt kicked, I am not interested in your feedback. Think about this in your own life. Who are the people whose opinions actually matter to you? It should be the people who love you, the people who are also out there taking risks. Why do we spend so much time worrying about what the random critics think? The people in the cheap seats who have never risked anything in their lives. Screw them. Their armor is just cynicism. Cynicism is easy. It makes you feel smart and superior without having to do any work. Hope and vulnerability are hard. They require guts. Let's pivot to lesson 6, which applies all of this to leadership and parenting. Because let's be real, if you are a leader or a parent, you are terrifyingly vulnerable every single day. In the workplace, we often think a leader needs to have all the answers. They need to be stoic and invincible. But Brown found that the best leaders are the ones who are willing to say, I don't know, or I made a mistake. When a leader is vulnerable, it gives permission for everyone else to be human too. It builds trust. If you work for a boss who never admits they are wrong, you don't trust them. You spend all your energy covering your own back instead of doing good work. You become risk-averse. You stop innovating because you're afraid of getting yelled at. A daring leader creates the culture where it is okay to fail, as long as you learn from it. They give feedback that is honest but kind, not shaming. They sit on the same side of the table as you when there's a problem, not across from you pointing a finger. And in parenting, oh man, parenting is just one long exercise in vulnerability. You are walking around with your heart outside your body. We want to protect our kids from everything. We want to save them from disappointment and failure. But Brown says that's the wrong move. If we protect them from struggle, we rob them of the chance to develop resilience. We cannot teach our children to be courageous if we are not courageous ourselves. You can't tell your kid to be brave and then hide from your own problems. You can't tell them to love themselves and then stand in front of the mirror criticizing your own body. Kids are like little vulnerability detectors. They don't do what you say, they do what you do. So instead of trying to be the perfect parent who never yells and bakes organic cookies from scratch, be the parent who dares greatly. When you lose your temper, apologize. Say, "Mommy was feeling frustrated and I didn't handle that well. I am sorry." That teaches them how to repair a relationship. That teaches them that mistakes are part of life. Let them see you struggle. Let them see you try something new and fail. That is how you raise wholehearted kids. Now, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier because I think it is the glue that holds all of this together. It's the idea of worthiness. The biggest barrier to vulnerability is the fear that if people saw who we really were, they wouldn't like us. We think we have to hustle for our worthiness. We think we have to earn it through achievements, money, or being the perfect friend, spouse, or employee. But here's the radical idea. You cannot earn worthiness. You either claim it or you don't. And you have to claim it now. Not when you lose 10 pounds, not when you get the promotion, not when you get married, now. Imagine you're going to a fancy party. The old way of thinking is, I can't wear my nice outfit because I haven't lost that weight yet. Or, I can't talk to those important people because I'm not successful enough yet. So you stand in the corner feeling awkward, holding your drink like a shield. Daring greatly is putting on the nice outfit today. It is walking up to the most interesting person in the room and saying hello, even though your hands are shaking. It is showing up as you are. Because here's the secret. Everyone else at that party is just as scared as you are. Everyone is fighting a hard battle. Everyone is wondering if they belong. When you drop the act, when you take off the armor, you become a magnet. People are drawn to authenticity because it's so rare. It's like fresh air in a room full of stale perfume. So, let's recap the main takeaways here because we covered a lot of ground. 1. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is courage. It is the willingness to show up when you can't control the outcome. 2. Stop chasing enough. The scarcity mindset is a trap. You are enough right now. 3. Shame thrives in the dark. Talk about your screw-ups. Empathy kills shame. 4. Put down the armor. Stop rehearsing tragedy. Stop trying to be perfect, and stop numbing out. Feel the feelings, even the bad ones. 5. Get in the arena. Ignore the critics in the cheap seats. If they're not risking anything, their opinion is irrelevant. 6. Lead and parent with vulnerability. Admit your mistakes. Teach resilience by modeling it. It sounds simple, right? But simple isn't easy. This is hard work. It is a daily practice. You don't just decide to be vulnerable once and then you're done. It is a choice you make every time you send a text, every time you walk into a meeting, every time you look in the mirror. And look, I know it's scary. It is terrifying to let the walls down. It feels safer to be cynical and cool and detached. But that safety is an illusion. It is a prison. The only way to experience real love, real belonging, and real joy is to be open to the possibility of getting hurt. Imagine it like this. You can build a fortress around your heart. You can make the walls 10 feet thick. You can dig a moat and fill it with alligators. And sure, nothing will get in. No pain, no rejection, no judgment. But nothing will get out either. You'll be safe, but you'll be stuck in a dark, cold stone tower all by yourself. Daring greatly is lowering the drawbridge. It is walking across the moat without a sword. It is saying, here I am. I'm messy, I'm imperfect, I'm scared, but I'm here, and I'm ready to live. So, here's my final piece of advice for you. This week, I want you to do one thing that scares you. I don't mean skydiving. I mean emotionally scares you. Send that text you've been overthinking. Share an idea in a meeting that you think might be stupid. Tell someone you appreciate them without making a joke out of it. Apologize for something you did wrong without making excuses. Just take one small piece of armor off. See what happens. You might be surprised to find that the world doesn't end. In fact, it might just open up. And hey, if you found this helpful, seriously, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm that vulnerability is cool and we need more of that on the internet. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. We're going to keep tackling the big stuff one book at a time. Now, go out there and get in the arena. Get some dust on your face. Get messy because you are worthy of a brave life. Catch you next time.